All right, thank you very much. Again, this plane in France deliberately crashed by the co-pilot, Andreas Lubitz, a 28-year-old, in that cockpit by himself, deliberately destroying the plane.
Yeah, well, getting more information, and as soon as we get it, we'll bring it to you right away.
Well, actually, Teresa, right now, you've downloaded the press conference from the prosecutor in Paris. What are they saying?
Good morning, Greg and Rosanna. Good morning, everyone. We heard from prosecutor Brice Robin, who basically said that by all the information that they have at this point in time, this plane was manually and intentionally brought down, that the pilot wanted or appeared to want to destroy the plane. He also said that the co-pilot was alone at the time. Andreas Lubitz, Lubitz is his name. That is being reported in a German newspaper by the name of Bild. It's the biggest newspaper in Germany. Lufthansa, as well as Germanwings, and the French prosecutor are not confirming that identity at this time, but that name is widely circulating. So they say that he was alone at the cockpit, in the cockpit at the time of this crash. He was conscious until impact. They are also saying that there was a massive struggle with the pilot attempting to get into the cockpit at the time of this crash. The pilot is being identified as Patrick S., a dad of two. That is also being reported in the newspaper Bild. This is also coming by way of a flying club, which was identifying these members. They say that they're longstanding members of the association. So let's take a listen to Brice Robin. He is talking about not only the voice recorder, which was able to divulge all this information, but also his investigation thus far.
I started an investigation because there was a potential accident for involuntary homicide. And for now, since this morning, there may have been there is a voluntary action which took place, but I haven't yet changed the qualification of my investigation to a voluntary. It's still involuntary homicide at this stage.
Still involuntary homicide at this point.
I'm sorry, voluntary or involuntary?
Involuntary. He may, in fact, change his determination, but at this point, because he is waiting for information from German officials, this man, as you see, that's his picture right there, 28-year-old Andreas Lubitz, he is not on any sort of terrorist watch list. He was a pilot in good standing.
There he is.
Yes,
this is the guy?
This is him.
Sure?
This is coming, yes, this is coming from the Mirror, a British newspaper and website. They are reporting this, and they got this information from the Flying Club, which was posting tributes to this man.
So the Flight Club claims that Andreas joined when he was a young man, that this is all he wanted to do with his life was be a pilot.
They say he was not depressed in any way. People have talked to him prior to this this crash. He was very happy. He is a family-oriented individual.
Right.
So he was somebody in good standing with all organizations.
From the Times and that press conference, during the first 20 minutes, the pilots talked normally, he said, saying they spoke in a cheerful and courteous way. There is nothing abnormal happening. The prosecutor said the transcript showed that the captain was preparing a briefing for landing in Duesseldorf. The co-pilot's answer, the prosecutor said, was laconic, rather terse. The commanding pilot then asked the co-pilot to take over, and the noise of a seat backing up and a door closing can be heard. At this stage, the co-pilot is in control, alone, the prosecutor said. It is when he is alone that the co-pilot manipulates the flight monitoring system to activate the descent of the plane, the prosecutor said. Now, he says that this action could only have been voluntary, not involuntary, but voluntary.
He also says you can hear the commanding pilot ask for access to the cockpit several times. He identifies himself, but the co-pilot does not answer him.
You can hear human breathing in the cockpit up until the moment of impact. The pilot was therefore alive.
They also said that you could hear alarms going off, you could hear screams of passengers. We just want to reiterate from the press conference, this all may change. This may become voluntary homicide.
Right.
But at this point, he needs so much more information to be able to make that determination.
Okay, that's a legal distinction, but right now they are maintaining that this plane was deliberately brought down by the pilot, and that is absolutely extraordinary. Let's bring in our guest if we can.
Harvey Kushner, he's the director of the Homeland Security Institute of the Long Island University. Mr. Kushner, thank you so much for being with us. What do you make of these new developments this morning?
Well, it's quite frightening. It's not that these things haven't happened before. We talked earlier about a Egyptian airplane being taken down here in '99, and we certainly had the flying into the Trade Towers in 2001. I don't know to remind everybody about that. But this is an extraordinary event because these types of things usually don't happen. You know, planes are vulnerable taking off and landing. This one, as we're seeing now, seems to have been taken directly into the Alps by a trained pilot, and that speaks to a lot of interesting factors that we have to look at. You know, do we vet our pilots, our co-pilots? Do we know the people who are flying the passengers throughout the world? You know, this is a problem. In non-Western countries, you know, you have, we don't know exactly who the flight crew is, but you're taking, you know, Germanwings, you're taking a Western country, a rather good airline, Lufthansa who owns this, and you have a problematic co-pilot. So this is very serious to aviation.
I'm not sure if any amount of vetting could have predicted that somebody might do something like this. Absolutely extraordinary. Let me ask you, and perhaps it's a minor distinction. You work at the Homeland Security Institute out there at LIU. At this point, whether it's terrorism or mass murder, what's the difference? And my guess is it might have to do with his motivation. If he was trying to make a political point, or if he was just distraught about some personal problem, that would make it mass murder. If it was trying to drive a point home about some cause of his, that's terrorism plus mass murder.
Well, it is, and then the latter is the more serious one, because that would mean ratcheting up our security, not only in this country but worldwide, meaning that there is a terrorist organization or somebody who is trying to act in their name who took down this plane. I would think. Yeah.
I'm just going to ask, as somebody who likes to fly every now and then, should we be doing some kind of mandatory stress testing of pilots? How do we know when we get on a plane that we are in safe hands?
Well, what we do is, you know, certainly American carriers and Lufthansa as well, they do have programs in which they look at the psychological impact on their pilots, but they routinely go through physicals and mental briefings. No, this is something that's occurring. But as Greg said earlier, no matter how much vetting you do, you never know when somebody's going to snap, and the professionals can't pick that out. So, yes, the answer to your question is that does occur now on a regular basis, certainly after 9/11 and others.
All right, Mr. Kushner, do me a favor, stay with us from LIU. We appreciate your comments. We're going to stay with this story. Again, breaking news from Europe. That plane that crashed in southern France the day before yesterday, prosecutors believe deliberately crashed by the co-pilot.
We'll be right back.